Hello and welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha, the teachings of Rabbi Eliezer Malamed, Shlita. We begin a new week, new topic, which we started right before Shabbos, Medina Kriyas Torah. We continue davening for Chalei Tzva Haganah Yisrael, Refuah Shalem L'Chol Petzuei Yisrael, and a safe return of our hostages. Our learning is dedicated in memory of Seren Daniel Shem Ben Harav Dron Vasheli Hashem Yakum Damo. And I'd just like to make a special dedication this morning. One of our dedicated listeners, someone who has been very close to our family and to our shul family, and sadly she passed away after an illness, and she lived a long, full life, seeing children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. So please, everybody, learn and do a mitzvah, L'ili Nishmas, Sarah Devora Bas, Yaakov HaKohen, Umiriam. May her holy neshama have an aliyah, and we have only simchas to celebrate together. So the next topic is Sefer HaTorah. Hakriya b'Torah tzrich aliyos mitoch Sefer Torah kosher. When you lane, we use the term lane of reading Torah, has to be done from a kosher Sefer Torah. What does that mean? Hainu Sefer shenichtav l'shem shemayim b'diyo al haklaf. It has to be written for the sake of a Sefer Torah, what we call a shema, and it has to be written with the appropriate ink on the klaf, on the parchment. Just as the first Torah scroll was written through Moshe Rabbeinu from Hashem's instruction. Kolomar, gam tzibur shekovei itim l'Torah. A congregation that sets time for Torah, specifically time to read Torah, to learn Torah, so they have to meet, so to speak, every 3 days at least with this Torah, just like Moshe did at Mount Sinai. If let's say there's no minyan, obviously we cannot lane Torah, because Chazal instituted that, like what everything else we call a davar shebekedusha, things of specific sanctity, they require a minyan, and laning from a Sefer Torah is one of these items. If the Torah scroll is missing even one letter, then the entire Sefer Torah is invalidated. And you cannot use it to fulfill the mitzvah of laning. Halacha zu this expression of this halacha is saying that the entire Torah is a complete expression of Hashem's presence in the world, which is expressed through all the Torah and all of the mitzvos, all of its guidance and all of its letters. Therefore, if even one iota, one aspect, one letter is missing, then there is obviously a deficiency in the God-given Torah, and if it is incomplete, then we cannot express this complete Hashemness in the world, if I could make up that phrase, but we cannot use this to express Hashem's presence and influence in the world if it is lacking. However, a number of Rishonim say that quotes from the Tshuvas Rambam, the Mordechai, and others, that maybe you can read from a Torah that is pasul. However, we don't paskin this way, and Ruba the Rishonim, most of the Poskei Halacha say that if you find a psul in a Sefer Torah, a letter missing, broken, etc., it cannot be used to fulfill the mitzvah. Let's say, and this happens, in the middle of Torah reading, you find a mistake, or you find a letter missing, or a letter broken. I could just tell you that as a rabbi of a shul, the worst thing that can happen in the middle of laning is when the Bal Kriya stops and then he looks at you and he says, come over here and take a look. And you're like, oh no, please don't. Because then what would happen is, we'll see, if that happens, and that if it's indeed determined that there is something wrong with the Sefer Torah, there's a letter, problem, missing, broken, then you have to stop on the spot, put that Sefer Torah away, take out another one, and continue reading from exactly where you left off. You could just imagine that in a public setting, this is quite jarring. Mitzad echad, on the one hand, we can't continue reading from the first Sefer Torah, because according to most authorities, you cannot read from a Sefer Torah that is deficient. Mitzad sheni, on the other hand, It also wouldn't be fair to say, well, let's go back and read from the beginning of the parsha, because it becomes retroactively known that you were reading from a Torah that was puzzle. So let's say you read the first 6 aliyahs. So it turns out that the first 6 aliyahs you read were from a Torah that wasn't kosher. So did you fulfill the mitzvah? So Chazal said, no, let's just continue where you were. Because for that instance, for the first 6 aliyahs, we're going to rely on the fact that you already read them, and that some authorities hold that you could read from a Sefer Torah that is puzzle. So we don't make you start over from the beginning. Sometimes when things get messed up, we start over from the beginning. So let's say we're coming up on Yom Neroim, and if a person's davening Shemona Esrei and you forget to say HaMelech HaKadosh, you have to go back to the beginning of Shemona Esrei. You don't just continue where you are if you've passed the brief elapsed time. With the Sefer Torah, it's different. If you find a mistake, you can continue where you left off, and we don't worry about the first aliyahs that were read. Let's say you find a questionable letter and you're not sure. So then you could continue reading in that Sefer Torah. Because you have 2 reasons to be mekel here, 2 reasons to be lenient. Rashis, the first is, it's possible that this mistake does not invalidate the Sefer Torah and it's still kosher. Shenis, on the other hand, or on the second hand, you could say that even if it is puzzle, you do have opinions that say that in a case of great need that you could still read from a Sefer Torah that's puzzle. So you could continue reading if it's only a doubtful, if it's not certain that there's a problem with the letter or with the Sefer Torah. It's only doubtful, you could continue reading, again, using this double leniency, and afterwards you should have it checked out. I have to say that Baruch Hashem in our shul we're blessed with beautiful Sefer Torah, with beautiful ksav, and you could tell the difference between different types of ksav in a Sefer Torah, those that are clear and impeccable versus those that are perhaps a little bit more letters squished together, or if it's not been used for a long time, the letters can crack. I always tell the Balei Kriya to be careful not to take the yad. The yad is not meant to be dragged over the letters because you don't want to chas v'shalom pop off the letters from the clef. The yad should be sort of like a cursor that you have with your mouse. It hovers over the letters, should never touch. I teach all the bar mitzvah boys that as well. But we have to be very careful with the letters of a Sefer Torah, and if we do so, then hopefully we won't run into these questions and problems and issues of a Sefer Torah that's puzzle. I'll just add in one other thing that my Rebbe always used to say. Rabbi Wein told us that a Sefer Torah is like a person. You shouldn't look too closely. So do with that as you would like, but in any event, we continue our learning. Thank you so much for studying with us. Please continue davening for Chayalei Tzvah Haganah Yisrael, for Shalom V'Chol Yisrael, safe return of our hostages. Dedicating our learning Leilei Nishmas Sarah and Daniel Shemin Ben Harav Doron Vasheli, and today Leilei Nishmas Haisha Sarah Devora Bas Yaakov Cohen and Miriam Zichrona Levracha. Thank you. Have a great day. We'll see you here next time.